Hello everyone and welcome to one of our last lessons on animal life cycles. Thank you so much for submitting all of your wonderful endangered animal posters. I know I learned a lot about endangered animals, so I hope you learned a lot about your animal. They went really well with your animal reports, so I'm very happy and I can't wait to share those with everyone. A lot of you remembered to answer the two most important questions, which is to tell me why is your animal endangered and how can we help protect them so they don't become extinct. So it was so well done and I'm so proud of all of you. But we need to keep moving on, and as I said, we are on one of our last couple of lessons on animal life cycles, and we are actually now talking about our final project, which is the chance for you to show me what you know about animal life cycles. And I hope that you enjoy this show what you know, because for your final project you will actually be making your own animal life cycles board game, okay? And I will be asking if anybody would be willing to keep it for next year so I can have it, or share it with others, and then maybe we can have like a animal life cycle board game club or something at lunch. We can all play together. Wouldn't that be fun? So this is an example of an animal life cycle board game. Now today you're not actually going to learn about how to make your board game. We're going to be talking about these things right here, which are your question cards. Okay, so we're talking about questions and answers today. And next week, you'll learn more about how to create your animal life cycle board game or game, okay, and what you need for that. But like I said, this week you need to complete the first part of your challenge, which is the question cards. So in order to complete part 1 and move on to part 2, you need to create question cards for your game. So these can be what help people earn points or money or just move them around the board. Your game, you decide, okay? So you need to figure out a little bit about what kind of a game you want to do. So start thinking about what you want your game to look like, how you want the cards used, and then you need to decide what level you want to do. So there are 3 levels for you to choose from. Level 1 is to choose 20 questions from the list that I give you. So I have come up with a list of questions. And what you need to do is you need to write them down, and then you need to find the answers to the questions, okay? Level 2 is that you choose maybe 10 of mine, and then you make up maybe 10 of your own. You can do more of mine or more of your own, or less of mine and more of your own, okay? So you decide how many you want from mine, but you need to have some of your own. That's level 2, so a mix of both. Level 3 is that you create all of your own questions, okay? So this is a super challenge. I know that a lot of you will be able to do this super easily. Probably everyone will be able to, because I know you guys are really good at asking questions. So I feel like a lot of you could do level 3, no problem. But here's the choice. So level 1, you use my questions. Level 2, you do a mix of both. That's a great option. And level 3, you do some of your own, or all of your own, okay? So today I want you just to kind of think about, I'm gonna show you the questions that I've created so you can have a think about which level you want to do. But today I'm hoping that no one actually completes any of the questions and that you have a think about your game and what you want to do, and then you start working on your questions tomorrow, okay? And I'll explain why in a minute. So for your question cards, okay, remember you need to have the questions and the answers, and this is going to cover everything that we have learned over our animals life cycles unit. So you have to think way, way back to February and March when we were actually still at school, and everything that we've done in science since we've done online learning. So remember that we talked about the 4 needs of living things, which is air, water, food, and shelter. We talked about the characteristics of living things, and some of those characteristics, I know some of you will remember some of the trickier ones, but the ones that I have are they need to grow, they move, they breathe, they reproduce, and they need food and water. Maybe you would add in they have DNA or they have cells, okay? You guys have great memories, so you can add in whatever you want for characteristics. Then we talked about how we classify animals, and remember that we classified animals into two groups: vertebrates, animals with backbones, and invertebrates, animals that do not have a backbone. And then we classified those groups further. So remember that vertebrates, we have mammals, birds, reptiles, amphibians, and fish. Okay, so we classified vertebrates into 5 groups. And for invertebrates, we classified invertebrates into arthropods, porifera, cnidaria, annelids, mollusks, and echinoderms. So we classified those into 6 groups. So think about how we classified both groups, so vertebrates and invertebrates, and how we classified the vertebrates into the 5 different groups. So what separates all of those animals and puts them into groups. And then we sorted the invertebrates as well. So what separates all of those 6 and makes those into 6 different groups. Okay, and then we reached online learning and we started talking about animal diets. So remember that there are 3 animal diets. Think about what each diet is, maybe some examples of those animals that are each diet type. Then we talked about the life cycles of vertebrates and invertebrates. We talked about animal habitats and animal adaptations in our animal report. And last week we talked about extinct animals and endangered animals, and we talked about a little bit about why some of the animals went extinct and why animals are endangered and how we can help animals so that they are, if they are endangered, that they do not become extinct. Okay, so that's a quick little review of everything that we've learned. I really hope you guys remember it because it's a lot of information. But here are some of the questions that you can ask in your board game. So I've come up with a list of 22 questions for you. And as I said, you are welcome to use them. If you are looking at the list and you're like, you know what, I don't like some of these questions, or I think I kind of want to do some of my own, then remember you can do the level 2 or 3 challenge where you need to create some of your own. All right, level 1 is just taking 20 of these questions and finding the answers. So question 1 that I created for you guys was, number 1, what are the 4 needs of living things? I wonder where we could find that. Number 2, what are 2 characteristics of living things? Number 3, what is one way we can classify animals? 4, what are invertebrates? 5, what are examples of invertebrates? 6, what are vertebrates? 7, what are examples of vertebrates? 8, tell me about mammals. How do we classify them? So what makes them the same? Tell me about birds. And remember, think about the things that birds have. Number 10, tell me about fish. Okay, again, think of the things that only fish have. Number 11, tell me about amphibians. What are the things that only amphibians have? And 12, tell me about reptiles. So how do we classify reptiles? How do we sort just the reptile group? What's special about reptiles? Okay, 13, what are the 3 animal diet types? 14, tell me about the life cycle of birds. 15, tell me about the life cycle of reptiles. 16, tell me about the life cycle of amphibians. 17, tell me about the life cycle of fish. 18, tell me about the life cycle of mammals. 19, tell me about the life cycle of an arthropod. I remember that is an insect, okay? 20, name 5 animal habitats that we learned about. So remember, those are things like grasslands, the Arctic, oceans. I don't want to give all of the answers, so that's all I'm going to tell you. Number 21, why are some animals endangered? And 22, how can we help keep wild animals safe so they don't go extinct? Okay, so those are my 22 questions that you are welcome to choose 20 from if you're doing level 1, or if you're doing level 2, you can pick the ones that you like and then come up with some of your own, okay? So you can do a mix. Now, where can you look for help for either questions if you're wanting to come up with your own questions, or just find the answers? Well, you can go to our YouTube channel, and that has our science playlist, and the link is there for you, and that has all of the videos that we've talked about since online learning, and it gives us a quick rundown of the needs of animals, the characteristics of living things, how we sorted them, everything, okay? You can also look through your notes and your assignments. That will give you some great answers as well. You can look at my notes, and if you need something specific, I can resend it to you. But remember that all of the notes are actually in the videos. So if you watch the video, then you should have the answer, okay? And if you still can't find it, Google it, okay? Remember how we did our animal report, how you can just type in the question, the exact question into Google, and then you can get the answer, okay? Just like I showed you on our animal report. So those are some helpful ways that you can find the questions or the answers to those questions. So if you choose to do level 2 or 3, okay, some of the things that you can think about for your questions is that you can use mine to help you, but you can ask questions about how we classify animals, okay? You can ask about specific life cycles. You can ask about specific diets. You can ask how different animals look after their young. Remember that mammals, the babies kind of stay with mom for a while because they need to drink milk, but then like fish just kind of swim away and like left on their own. You can talk about specific habitats. You can talk about different environmental conditions, so things like pollution or habitat loss that could make an animal endangered, and then you could talk about different ways that we can keep animals safe. So remember that if you have specific questions, so if you're asking what is the life cycle of a chicken, that is a specific question, and that will be harder to answer. So if you said, what does a grizzly bear eat? Okay, that's a specific question, and that's going to be harder to answer. Okay, but those are great questions as well. So if you feel like you are up for a challenge and you are up for your players also doing the challenge, then that is a good idea to follow, to have specific questions about things that we learned. So what do you need to do for me today? So like I said, please just take today to think about your game and what level you want to do for your questions, okay? Once you've decided that, then you need to come up with your list of questions. Either you can use mine, or you make them yourself, or both. And then you need to answer them by yourself, okay? So you need to go through, you need to find the answers. If you don't know the answer, then you need to think, will the people who play the game know the answer? So think about that, okay? So if you're writing your own questions or even coming up with mine, please make sure that you answer them by yourself, okay? Now, like I said, you're not actually making your cards today or right away, but what I want you to do is write your questions on a piece of paper. So you can do it on just a normal piece of paper or in your home learning journal, okay? Write them out by hand, okay? I don't want anything typed. If it's typed, it's gonna be returned to you, okay? And you'll have to do it again. So please make sure that you do it by hand and you write the questions and the answers, okay? So once you have your question list with answers, you need to send it to me on Class Dojo. Remember that the minimum amount of questions is 20, okay? So you need to have at least 20 questions with 20 answers. And then if you want to do more, you can, but you need at least 20, okay? Once you get an approved from me, then you can start working on your board game design, which we will be talking about next week, okay? So remember that all of your questions need answers, and each answer actually needs to be correct. So if you're telling me what the life cycle of a bird is, and you actually say, oh, the life cycle of a bird is step 1, they have live birth, step 2, it's a baby, step 3, it becomes a teenager. Well, that's not the life cycle of a bird, is it? Because birds hatch from eggs, okay? So please make sure that your answers are correct and that you're not just randomly putting in answers. They need to be correct, otherwise you'll need to do it again. Okay, remember this is a game, so it has to be done super professionally. You guys are now professional game makers. So you need to do a really, really, really good job, okay? This is also your final project, so you will be graded on your report card for your work, okay? So we're starting off with your questions and answers, and those are due on Sunday. So today is Tuesday, so you have 3 days this week and the weekend to submit it, okay? You also have Sunday to work on them. Okay, so that's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday. That's 4 days if you don't want to work on it on the weekend, but 6 days if you do. And then on Monday, I'm going to be telling you what you need to have for your actual board game, okay? Remember that as soon as you get the thumbs up, approval from me on your questions and answers, that you can actually start working on your board game. But until you get the yes, keep going, you cannot work on your board game, okay? So if I see a board game, I know that you did not follow the instructions and you will not get to continue on, okay? So please make sure that you answer your questions. So come up with your questions, write down your answers, and that's all you need to do for part 1, okay? So go back. So remember, you can choose the 20 questions from my list. There's 12 on this page and 10 on this page, and that you can choose which level you want to do. So level 1, 20 from my list, okay? Level 2, a mix of both, so some from mine and some from yours, or level 3, all on your own, okay? And that's it. I look forward to seeing your questions and answers, and I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. So good luck. And I honestly cannot wait to see how much you guys remember and who's willing to take on the challenge of level 3.